Hi everybody, Hoosier Green Thumb coming at you with a short little intro to the video I made with my daughters a month and a half ago. Part of the hard drive that got lost. I had to add this because in the middle of making the video I realized that I've been making a mistake for the last 6 years. The grouping is correct, but for some reason I switched the numbers up, which you'll see in later where I actually show the garden bed. I switched them up for some reason, and then on top of that, instead of up to now I have been going from the left to the right, but I should have been going from the right to the left. So it made me realize that I need to do a much deeper dive. I will also try to provide you with these sources so that you can look into it yourself if you would like. But that was just a quick note I wanted to throw in here before. I hope you enjoy. My daughter's helping me for the first bit and then leaving me alone for the boring bit to actually make the plan. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let's get started. Hello everybody.
Hello.
We're finally making the video planning everything that's going to go into the garden. The way I always do this is super nerdy. I take the plan from 2020. The plan from 2019. But the plans make everything work so perfectly, don't?
Yeah.
No? I know you find it boring.
It is boring.
So, the actual drawing of the plan I'll do without you guys then, okay? Then tell me what... Well, if it's boring for you, you don't have to be there for it.
Boring.
So, if we're doing the gardening, what would you like to see in the garden? You want to go say hi to Mama first? Alright. Mama's home.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So the nerdy me, I always draw these plans. I'll show them, no point in holding it up. As you can see in the Garden Plan 2015 on the bottom, the groups are broken into 4. This includes the potatoes. From 2016, I didn't have the potatoes in there, but the groups still remained the same. It wasn't until looking through this for this video that I realized that the groups were correct, but I have been rotating them in the wrong direction. They keep moving to the right when they should be moving to the left. The plan created in this video for 2021 will remain the same, but instead of shifting to the right, the plan will, from the future, shift to the left, and this will correct itself by 2022. I break these down into 4 groups. You have the first group is the roots, so carrots, onions, garlics, stuff primarily grown for the roots. Then for group 2, I have what are the brassicas, so the cabbage family, and so you know, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, red cabbage, and the such. Then we have group 3, which is the others. Speaking of it, then it just makes me wonder, why did I put everything out? Why did I name the groups like this? Okay, so the group naming is kind of dumb because I say 1, 2, 3, 4, but I didn't have them in the same order. Basically, greens and peas are the main 2 that I grow there, but it would be Swiss chards as well. And then group 4, so a lot of people don't do group 4, but group 4 for me then is the potatoes.
Potatoes?
Potatoes.
Potatoes.
And if we're looking at the 2020 plan, we went brassicas, potatoes, roots, and others.
And others? What is others?
Others are like the peas, the green beans, the legumes overall.
And we want to plant strawberries.
Strawberries are also that's something we can do in the garden, but it won't necessarily really be in this part of the plan because it's on the other side.
Those outside are almost down.
Yeah, I was talking to Mama about it. I didn't find them very good either.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we are renaming those groups.
Well, if we rename them, it's just giving them a different number. That's fine too.
Can we not name them 1, 2, 3,
4 so that it makes sense? I will change it this year.
It is nonsense. It don't make sense.
Everything makes sense. The plan
No.
Always makes sense. That's why we do it. So, I want to know what you guys want to have in the garden, okay? And I can compare it with the list Mommy and I already made, and then we go from there. Thank you, Jonas. What do you want in the garlic? In the garden? In the garlic. Garlic. I got garlic.
Strawberries.
Strawberries? It's gonna go on the other side, but I'm with you. Our strawberries weren't doing very good this year. I feel like they were way too small, there were way too few. So what I'm gonna do is basically the soil conditioning that I'm doing over with the vegetable bed, I'm gonna do with the strawberry bed as well. I'm gonna rip a bowl of the strawberry plants and then gonna go from there. I could also...
What? I'm doing Zeichensprache.
Yeah, sign language. So what do you girls want in the garden? Strawberries, okay?
Like a new apple tree.
But like vegetables. So, for example, I have carrots, garlic, elephant garlic, peas. Yes.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Our peas.
Yeah. Green beans. What are they in German? Do you know?
No.
Grüne Bohnen. Red cabbage. Beetroots. So, we lost one, but that's fine. The battery died. Okay, so we have red cabbage, beetroot, Swiss chard, zucchinis. I think this one you will like, Zoe. Tomatoes. Do you want tomatoes? Do you want the little cherry tomatoes or the big beef tomatoes? Beef.
Good.
Steak. Beef. Meat. Oh, man.
Beef.
The little ones. And the big ones. Okay.
You go have other big ones.
Cucumbers. Pumpkins. Potatoes. Okra. You don't know what okra is. Onions. Broccoli. And Savoy cabbage. Sound good? Okay.
Ich merke die alle.
Is there anything else you want? What? Can't think.
Bananen.
I don't think I can grow bananas here in northern Germany. I've been trying with kiwis, but they're not working well either. So, I think we have it all then, yeah?
Ich merke die alle.
Okay, so we have carrots, Möhren or Karotten, garlic, Knoblauch, elephant garlic, riesig Knoblauch, peas, which are Erbsen, and I say we do sugar snaps, and one of the other variety. Green beans, grüne Bohnen, red cabbage, Rotkohl, beetroot is then Rotbeete, Swiss chard is Mangold, zucchini, tomatoes, Tomaten, cucumbers. Do you know what a cucumber is? Gurken. Pumpkins, Kürbisse, potatoes.
Wir brauchen noch mehr.
What, pumpkins?
Die Kürbisse.
Yeah, pumpkins. We can do more.
Weil ganz bald wir keinen Garten.
Yeah, we have lots in the garden right now.
Und wo sind die?
They're way back by the compost. Okra is in, I think, okra.
Ja.
Onions. Do you know what onions are?
Zwiebeln.
Yeah, Zwiebeln. Broccoli.
Ja.
Broccoli.
Brokkoli.
Yeah. And Savoy cabbage. Wirsingkohl.
Really
So you happy?
good. Guys,
That's Savoy cabbage. That's Wirsingkorn.
that's Lakey's Island.
Yeah, we're gonna have it all. We're gonna have it all.
Oh, was ist das?
This year is freshen up the herb garden. I would like to get some rosemary, thyme, basil, parsley, oregano, sage, and that's the plan. That's the plan. So I put all this here into there, and then I know where everything goes.
Ist das der Garten?
Yeah, this is the vegetable garden. Right here's where the asparagus is.
Ich
The
möchte
asparagus is Spargel.
Spargel.
It's all the way in the back of the garden. Yeah?
Aber die Kürbisse wachsen nicht.
Not anymore. They're not growing. The pumpkins aren't growing anymore because it's cold. It's almost winter. So, you happy? Okay, then you can go play with your friends, and I will finish the plan on my own. Thank you, sweetie.
Das alles.
Thank you.
Please.
Love you.
Love you. Love you. Love you. Love you. Love you.
Love you too. See you, sweetie. So, I think I'm about to get kicked out of the living room. So I will take this and I will start to make a plan. Might take you with me on the little drawing of it, although it's basically just looking at what I've done in the past years. I like plans and I like note taking and stuff like this. I've done, one year I actually did take notes of all that I did throughout the entire year. I could tell you what day each plant in the garden germinated, but after doing that for a year and a half, one, it took all the fun out for the girls because I wanted to weigh everything that was harvested, and then on top of that, it's good to take notes, but it's more good to take notes of like special things that you notice, like, oh, this plant got sick of this or things like that. But I mean, I was watching just, you know, height averages, or anytime I fed them, all these things I was making notes of with pictures in an Excel sheet. But like I said, it didn't really help me get anything done. And so that's why I decided to leave it. So I think I've rambled on long enough, and I will get to the actual plan making, and then we'll see how it looks. And here we go. All right, not really like that, but you know. As you can see, they held good to their promises. And for the boring part, I'm going to be left to myself. So, on this most auspicious occasion, let's get down to the garden planning and exactly what there is to do. So, crop rotation, for the most part, it helps keep disease down. It's not a cure-all. It doesn't help 100% of the time because, after all, your garden is not that large and diseases can move around. The second good use of a crop rotation is the maximum use of soil nutrients and other resources in the soil. So, for example, legumes like the beans and peas are good at putting nitrogen into the ground that is then eaten and used by others. And on the other side, carrots. They don't like to be in a heavily manured area, and if they are, then you do see how they start to fork. Let's just get down to exactly how I kind of do it. There are many different ways of crop rotation, but I use 4 different beds. But before I start going into it, let's just get down to the brass tacks and what everything is. So my next process is then to make a garden wish list of just whatever we would like to have in the garden, and then I take that wish list and I break it down into the 4 groups that we were talking about with the crop rotation. Now, where I immediately break my own kind of rules a little bit with this is that I also have more than just the vegetable bed itself, as many might. So I have 2 greenhouses. One is kind of used by the chickens at the moment. The other is where I grow my tomatoes and my peppers. This year I actually did put the cucumbers in this one. And that's why I then take them out of the list and put them in the greenhouse. And then, for example, like pumpkins, they're a heavy feeder. This last grow year was the first time that I got a pumpkin plant from a neighbor, and I planted it on the compost pile, as most suggested for a longer time. I just had never done that. Somehow I thought, oh, but I want all the nutrients of the compost to go into the vegetable when I feed it with it. But there is just so much in the compost pile that the pumpkin can grow like crazy, and there's still lots of nutrients left over. And this year I did that, and the results were amazing. So next year I'm going to do the same. So the pumpkin is also taken off this list. So then once you have your vegetables broken down into the groups that you want them, then you can go into my super nerdy mode, and that's where you can then draw it into your garden. Back when I first moved here, I got out the measuring stick and I actually measured exactly how big my garden is. This is to scale, so I can kind of plan it out that every square is 20 centimeters of space. Every year I plant way too much stuff, and every year I tell myself I'm going to plant less so the plants have more space, and I don't listen. With the garden plan, then I start looking over the past year. I always go off of the previous year's plans. So then you can see about how big the plot was last year, and then I divide up depending on what I have. So like you can see from my list that I have now, there are not that many brassicas. And the same kind of is for potatoes, but potatoes, I do plant many different varieties, and they are quite big plants. So they definitely take up the bed, no problem. But you see that there are much more other vegetables and roots than there are brassicas. And so for that, I usually do have a very small patch for the brassicas. And so I don't have true crop rotation because the lines kind of overlap depending on what I have. All right, so now that I have that, I'm going to get to it and start looking at the plan, comparing it with last year's, and then I will adjust accordingly. Give a 40 centimeter gap. So I'm going to do this part in piece just because it is just a lot of thinking about what I would like, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the result. So there you have it. I actually noticed something that I had been doing wrong. I don't know when it happened exactly. I got my groups switched, because if you look at the old ones, you have here group 1, 3, 2, 4, and it's like already right there in the numbers. I should have seen it, but somehow I just went with it and I kept moving everything over. I adjusted by switching the two. Yeah, basically the potatoes only slightly moved, but behind them, instead of coming up with the brassicas, then it's coming up with the others. So there's a couple of things I noticed about it while writing it that oh yeah, that's why you do this and that. And I'm still rather amateur, so there are still many other things. But like potatoes and brassicas are heavy feeders. And so when you do a lot of compost or manure, the potatoes come through and they eat a lot of that. And then after that, the green beans move in and put some nutrients back into the ground. And also, if you look at the plan, I'll try to keep putting it up here, you see that it goes red onions, carrots, garlic, carrots. One reason you do this is the onion smell is supposed to help mask the carrot smell so that you are less likely to have the carrot flies attack your vegetables. That's the theory of it. I've had it like this almost every year, and it seems to be hit or miss, although this year was an amazing year with the carrots. But that's one of those things that you see the switching on and off. So there you have basics of writing a garden plan. You don't have to do it necessarily as detailed as I do. As you see on mine, it's all written in pencil, baby. And the reason is this plan is not set in stone. For example, if you look at the garden plan from 2020, you see lots of things like over here on the right side you have an onion from last year that somehow started. Sometimes I write in that there's an elephant garlic or something like that that just happens to pop up at that spot. I like the plan because it helps me know what I've done, and it's easy to go back and look at. You also can see on my older plans, I usually write the day that I plant everything so that you can kind of have on this overview a rough estimate of how old the plants are. But that's just me going super nerd. That's the basics of writing the plan. Come here. Yeah, come here. Yeah, hi. Hi, big old baby. Big old baby. So, that is basics of making a garden plan. You just kind of have to get everything together that you want, have a little bit of the know-how of what works best in the crop rotation, and then you can go for it. I hope you had fun with this. I hope you have fun with yours. Please send me copies of your garden plans. That would be great to see how you guys do it. If you guys have any tips or other things that I should work into it, let me know. Like I said here, I made a mistake. It's never too late to admit to making a mistake. So that's why it's you learn from your mistakes, and that's how it becomes experience. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me on this, and I'll see you outside soon to start putting this into effect, namely the elephant garlic, and maybe even the garlic need to go in now. So we'll get on that. Have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.